Hey, sexy monkeys, welcome back to Sky Gene Experience. I'm Ben. We are ranking all 5 of the Rambo movies, from the worst to the best.
Never possessed God in heaven to make a man like Rambo.
God didn't make Rambo. I made him.
Sylvester Stallone plays Rambo in all 5 movies. I can't imagine a Rambo movie without Sylvester Stallone. I know they talk about prequels, stuff like that, when he was himself during the war. I'll be interested if we get the right person doing it, of course. And this whole franchise started with a book, a novel. And that novel was supposed to be way graphic than this first movie. In the book, Rambo is way nastier. He kills all these sheriffs in the first movie. He kills a shit ton more people, way more. They definitely tone it down a little bit in the movies. When I go through these rankings, I mean, there's really 5 movies, and I think out of the 5, there's one that's really sticks out as the bottom, and there's 3 of them that kind of sticks in the middle. They float around, but then you also have your obvious first place, which we'll go through all of them one by one, and we're going to start with the last place at 5th place. It is your 1988 Rambo 3 with a Sky Gene score of a 5.5 out of 10. This movie, as you can tell entitled Rambo 3, is the 3rd movie in the whole franchise. And it came out 3 years after the second movie, so it's only a 3-year gap. When they made this movie, it had the biggest production budget of all movies at $63 million. Yeah. $63 million for a Rambo movie? We do not need that much money for a Rambo movie. So the plot goes, Rambo is doing his own thing. He's in Thailand, and Colonel Troutman, his buddy from 1 and 2, gets captured in Afghanistan when the Russians are invading at the time. So Rambo becomes Rambo. He does a one-man rescue to get Troutman out. He'll do anything for his buddy. I'll do the same thing. But reasons why this is on the bottom of my list. 1, I think the whole Afghanistan shit, it might be just because this is year 2022 and I've lived through 10, 15 years of this Afghanistan war shit. I'm over this Afghanistan shit. So, I've seen this movie before the Afghan war, of course, but that's why I haven't really seen it since. And it's just a territory I don't like Rambo in Afghanistan. It just doesn't seem right. I know he's a patriotic soldier in today's time, sure, but back then, no. And then you have the Russians again. Having them in the second movie, I don't think helped. But then having them again in this third movie is like, come on, guys. Come on. I mean, this movie went through 3 cinematographers that quit and 2 directors that quit. And it sucks that this is the last appearance for Colonel Troutman, the character, because the guy that plays him, Richard Crenna, I hope I pronounced his last name, Crenna, he passed away in 2004. So this will be his last film in the franchise. The opening scene in this movie, I absolutely love. The whole fighting shit. It reminded me of like kickboxing and Bloodsport. But Stallone, oh my god, he is fucking jacked in this movie. Seriously, of all movies, this might be the best Rambo body of Stallone. That thing is a fucking, it's crazy how crazy that is. I mean, steroids, I get it, but fuck. Look at him. Overall, though, it's a decently okay action movie. You're going to get what you want from your Rambo. There's even a scene where he puts like gunpowder in him and he blows it up to cauterize the wound. Dope as fuck. You get a lot of cool kills. It's just an okay movie. Overall, it's the Afghanistan, Russian stuff. New territory, new people. No, let's do something else, guys. Coming in at 4th place is your 2019 Rambo Last Blood. Coming in with a 6 out of 10 Sky Gene score. This movie is the 5th in this franchise, and it's also the last one so far. And it's a very good chance we might never see Sylvester Stallone again as Rambo. And God, I hope we see him one more time. Because this is an okay, decently movie, but not where we should leave the whole franchise. No. This would be 11 years that this movie came out after the 4th movie. Essentially, the plot goes, at the end of the 4th movie, Rambo goes home. That's the end credits. So in this movie, he's home. He's in Arizona. He's on his father's ranch. Father's passed away. And it's him, his sister-in-law, and the sister-in-law's granddaughter, which Rambo literally raised pretty much from birth. So that's like his daughter, so to speak. And she's old enough where she wants to find out information about her real dad. So she goes to Mexico when she's not supposed to. Rambo's like, no, don't go there. She goes to Mexico. She gets caught up in the cartel, the sex traffic. A lot of shit goes down that's hard to watch. I don't like watching that shit. Rambo goes to, get her back, gets her back, and then he comes back home, and the cartel goes after Rambo. Cartel goes to Rambo's house in Arizona for the ending, and it's a big fucking action ending. It's dope. The ending, I enjoy a lot. But there is hard to watch a lot of scenes in this movie, so definitely no kids. It's really cool because Rambo has these tunnels that he lives in, and he uses that to help with his PTSD. But in the beginning of the movie, when they first show Rambo, there's a bunch of Easter eggs in the tunnel. Like one, for example, is the bow, and then a bunch of knives. Love that shit. But what makes this movie like down there, it's a lot of drama, which is fine. It's okay with me, but if you're coming in and you want a lot of action like the second movie, you're going to get pieces of that, mostly the very end. Because a lot of this is Rambo you don't see. When I'm watching this movie, I really thought I was listening to Rocky. Because, he's the same guy. But he's talking as Rocky would almost. Because he's, soft-spoken and something you don't see before. Which I do enjoy. And it was also nice to go a different route. And when we, like, the cartel, the villains, something else, we needed that. But I did not like the whole fact of going to Mexico and back and forth. They should have done something where, like, a John Wick style, where the cartel and Rambo cross paths, and they did something to piss off Rambo to the point where Rambo goes after them. That's what they should have done. This is the first time he does not wear that bandana or his long hair. This is the first time in all fucking 5 movies, so that does not help. It was nice at the very end. They do the flashbacks of all the movies. That was really sweet to see. Overall, though, guys, it's a decently good action movie. It's okay. You're going to have a lot of moments, but like I said, guys, it's really hard to watch. But it is what it is. All right, guys, coming in at third place is your 1985 Rambo First Blood Part 2 with a Skygean score of a 7 out of 10. And this will be 3 years after the very first movie came out. As you can tell, Part 2, which makes this the second movie in the franchise. Interesting note, James Cameron, he wrote the first draft of this. It's funny, he wrote the draft for this the same time he wrote the draft for Aliens, the sequel for Alien, the 1986. And then he was also doing rewrites for the Terminator, the 1984. So at the same time, he had this room with 3 different desks. One desk would be your Terminator rewrites, and then one desk was Aliens, the sequel, and the other one was this movie, Part 2. But they end up using maybe 10-15% of his stuff. But what makes this movie fucking awesome is you see Rambo in Vietnam. He's back in Vietnam. Thank you. And this movie really made him globally known. Like, he had his outfit perfectly the way it is. That's when you think of Rambo, you think of Part 2 look. With the bandana, shirt off, holding the M240 Bravo. Fuck. It's funny, Dolph Lundgren, the boxer from Rocky IV, the Russian, he was supposed to play the Russian in this movie, but when Stallone found out he's the one that's going to be in Rocky IV, he's like, wait, no, we can't do that. So they pretty much paid him not to do this. And then he was in Rocky IV, and now he's famously known as Dolph Lundgren, which I love his shit. Speaking of Russians, I'm not trying to dog on the Russians. Russians have their own style, and they belong in their own style for action. But when you mix Russians in Rambo, I don't like it. It does. No, especially in Vietnam. Like, if he was in Russia going against Russians, I get that. But you're in Vietnam, man. It was badass to see Rambo with a fucking bow and arrow. That's Rambo with a bow and arrow. That's Rambo. the ending of this movie when he does that speech, fuck, gets me every time. If you're wanting an action movie overall, great movie, guys. You're gonna get everything you want in an action film, literally everything. And Rambo is a badass in this movie. That's why I said this is a Sky Gene score of a 7 out of 10. All right, guys, we're down to the bottom 2. So coming in at second place is your 2008 Rambo with a Sky Gene score of a 7 out of 10, which was directed by Slyvester Stallone himself. This movie is the 4th in the franchise, and this will be 20 years after the 3rd movie. I get, it's been 20 years since you haven't had a Rambo movie, mainly because you need Slyvester Stallone. And he was like, time out, I'm moving on to other shit. I got other stuff to do. And then before this, he did Rocky Balboa, the 6th installment for Rocky. And that was kind of like the same gap period. It was, it was a long time. And that was very successful. So he's like, well, maybe I could do that with my Rambo character. So that's where you get with this. And overall, I love this fucking movie. I enjoy this movie a lot, but it is hard to watch. It's just like the 5th one, but this one's the hardest to watch of all 5 movies. You got some scenes where, kids, like babies they're not surviving, and women are not treated well in this movie. A lot of killing. I mean, there's 466 deaths in this movie. I mean, most of it is at the very end with Rambo, when he's at the end with the 50 cal. Oh my fucking god, that was so badass. Sadly, this would be the first movie without the composer Jerry Goldsmith, since he passed away in 2004. They actually had a scene written out, but they never filmed it, is with Rambo going to visit Troutman's grave. The character, not him himself, but the character. It would have been sweet to see that. The opening credits, that was really hard to watch because it was real footage of a war, and it's just hard to watch that shit. You got some really dope fucking kills in this. I mean, Rambo literally rips a guy's throat out. And then Rambo, when he makes his intro as Rambo, he does it with his bow and arrow, explosion tips. Dude. But the highlight of this film is with Rambo at the very end. He gets on that 50 cal and just fucks everyone up, dude. I remember seeing that for the very first time, and I just was like, I've shot a 50 cal. That will rip you in half. All right, guys, coming at first place is your 1982 First Blood, the very first movie with a Sky Gene score of an 8.5. Oh, I love this fucking movie, man. Such a classic. I love this shit from the start to the finish, mainly because it's actually on American soil. Granted, the 5th movie is in Arizona, but it's like half of it's in Mexico. It's like you're on the border. This is like legit state of Washington, United States, and you go against, your local sheriffs. The storyline of the first movie is the best because, Rambo gets treated like garbage. In the very beginning of the movie, you actually see a glimpse of a Rambo, of the nice side of Rambo, the side you never see ever again, before he finds out this guy has passed away. And then when he finds out he's passed away, he's like, I'm done. I have nothing left in life. End of tunnel, done. That's why he throws that address book in the fire when he's walking away. He's like, I'm done. But then he goes to town, and the sheriff, he's actually a Korean War vet, the character, if you never noticed that. And the Korean vets, they got treated pretty bad because it's really called the Forgotten War because they really got forgotten. Both my grandpas were in the Korean War. I understand that. So the story of this, you have the Korean War vet and Rambo's Vietnam vet, and that's why they clash. That's mostly why the sheriff clashes with him. Rambo's like, I just want something to eat. Like, I did nothing wrong with you. Jerry Goldsmith, that does the composer for the theme for this, it's one of those iconic themes, guys. It's right up there with Terminator. You hear this shit and you know exactly what it is. And the Dan Hill song, It's a Long Road, you hear that every single Rambo movie, and you have to have it. Mostly it's at the end credits. The only thing I really did not like about this movie was the way they portray the National Guard. They may have seemed like a jokesters, and it's like every time I see that, I just like the National Guard is not that jokesters. They would not, no. Overall, though, I can watch this movie. I just watched it twice in a row. Once normally, then second with a commentary, and it was no problem. I could watch it again right now. It's a great classic movie. You're gonna get everything you want in an action movie. Brilliant. And it's not that hard to watch like the other Rambo movies are. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to my rankings. I am curious in the comments below, what are your rankings in this franchise? What is your best movie? What's the worst movie? What's your favorite moment of this franchise? Do you think we should have a sixth Rambo movie with Sylvester Stallone? Do you think we should just leave it as is? Do you think we should have something completely different, like a reboot, a TV series, a new Rambo with a new person? Let me know what you guys think below. All right, guys. I will see you guys later. Remember, if you go to jail, don't drop the soap.